Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how we do it? We wade through all those sources on cutting-edge tech
And
and pull out the absolute must-know insights so you're completely up to speed.
exactly. And today, we're really focusing in on what many are calling the peak of mobile tech right now. We're diving into a deep review of the Apple iPhone 17 Pro, specifically the big one, the 1TB model.
Yeah.
And it's in that new deep blue finish.
Deep blue, okay. And the sources, they're making some pretty huge claims, aren't they? Something like the latest evolution in the company's pursuit of smartphone perfection. That's lofty.
It is very lofty. They're basically calling it the new gold standard for smartphones. Full stop.
Right, which is a bold claim, sets a high bar. Is it actually justified, though? Or is it just, premium marketing hype?
Well, that's what we need to unpack for you. We're kind of breaking it down into three main areas based on the reviews. First, the design, what it looks like, what it feels like. Second, the performance, that new A19 Pro chip, and what it really means for speed and, importantly, battery life. And third, the camera, the big one. This system, they claim, is blurring the lines with Pro gear.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with the outside, then. The look and feel. That deep blue finish. You said it's striking. The sources call it mesmerizing.
Yeah, mesmerizing is the word they use. It seems to be central to its look this year. They describe it as sophisticated but also bold. But the interesting bit is the depth. Apparently, it sort of shifts subtly depending on the light, gives it a real layered feel, not just flat color.
Interesting. So less conservative than maybe some past colors.
Definitely. Feels more luxurious, more modern is the takeaway from the reviews. A bit of a statement piece.
Okay, look is one thing. What about the feel? Still the titanium frame.
Yep, sticking with titanium.
Yeah.
So you get that benefit of it being pretty lightweight.
Right, but does it feel too light? Sometimes titanium can feel almost insubstantial compared to steel, maybe. You lose that heft.
That's a fair point, and the reviews actually address it. They seem to think Apple nailed the balance. It's light, yes, but still feels really solid, really premium. They point to the craftsmanship.
Craftsmanship, like the fit and finish.
Exactly. Perfect symmetry, super tight tolerances. Even the click of the buttons apparently feels very precise and tactile. The argument is that the lightness isn't about being cheap. It's about engineered efficiency,
Gotcha. Okay, so the outside sounds impressive. But let's face it, most of the time you're looking at the screen. What's the story with the display this time? Still Super Retina XDR.
It is. It's a 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR display, and critically, it features promotion technology. The sources rave about it being, well, incredibly sharp, very bright, and really color accurate.
Color accuracy. That's key for the creative pros we'll talk about later, I imagine.
Absolutely crucial for them.
And promotion that, let's just quickly explain that again. It's not just about 120 hertz smoothness, right?
Right.
The adaptive part is the clever bit.
Precisely. That adaptive 120 hertz refresh rate is the key. It means scrolling and gaming feel incredibly fluid, yeah. But it's also smart when you're just looking at static text, like reading an email.
It drops way down.
Right down. Sometimes as low as 1 hertz, apparently, which saves a ton of battery. Then the second you swipe or interact, boom, it ramps right back up to 120 hertz instantly.
Seamlessly.
That's the claim. Seamless. So you get the smoothness and better battery life than you'd expect.
Okay, and what about just watching stuff? HDR content. The review used phrases like inky blacks and highlights that pop.
Yeah, that points to the quality of the OLED panel and the calibration. Inky blacks means, basically perfect contrast. True black, which gives images real depth. And the highlights popping without looking sort of blown out or artificial. That's a tricky balance.
So a really polished visual experience overall.
Seems like it. Top-tier stuff, whether you're watching Netflix or editing your own photos.
All right, let's shift gears. From the visuals to the engine room, the A19 Pro chip. The sources just say effortlessly fast, but what does that actually mean in practice? Is it noticeably faster than the A18 Pro?
Well, effortlessly fast suggests that for most tasks, you just don't hit limits anymore. Apps open instantly, sure, multitasking is seamless, but the real difference, according to the reviews, is under sustained load. Think demanding games at high frame rates, or maybe real-time video editing.
Stuff that would have maybe caused older phones to stutter or heat up?
Exactly. The A19 Pro seems designed to handle that without breaking a sweat. It lets you focus on the task, not whether the phone can keep up.
Okay, but we hear faster than ever, every single year. What's the actual evidence this is a breakthrough, especially with that thin titanium body? Does it overheat? Thermal management is always the challenge.
That's a really important question. The reviews hint that the breakthrough isn't just raw speed, but thermal efficiency. There's likely some significant architectural change in the chip itself that manages heat much better. So even if you're doing something intense like editing a 4K video clip for, say, half an hour,
Yeah.
the performance stays consistent. It doesn't throttle down due to heat nearly as much as previous thin phones might have. It's that sustained performance, not just peak speed, that seems to be the real step up here.
Okay, that makes sense. And that ties into the other side of the A19 Pro coin, efficiency. This is probably more important for most people than raw speed battery life. They're claiming breakthrough battery life. Is that real?
The reviews seem pretty convinced it's not just marketing fluff this time. The A19 Pro's efficiency gains, plus that adaptive display we talked about, they add up. The consensus is that it genuinely powers through a full day of heavy use.
Heavy use like what? What did they test?
They specifically mention things like hours of 5G video calls, lots of photo and video shooting, streaming high-res video, basically hitting it hard all day, and it still lasted. That kind of longevity while also boosting performance. That is impressive. Previous phones often had to trade one for the other.
And for someone who isn't hammering it quite that hard, a more moderate user?
For moderate users, yeah, the suggestion is you could easily stretch it into a second day comfortably.
Wow. Okay. That actually is a breakthrough, if true. Less battery anxiety.
Huge quality of life improvement, yeah. And when you do need to charge, it's quick, whether you use MagSafe or, plug it in, snappy charging.
Good stuff. Okay, let's move to the camera. The star of the show, according to the review, this Pro Fusion camera system, they claim it feels more like a professional rig than a phone. Big words.
Very big words, and this seems to be where the Pro in iPhone 17 Pro really earns its name, targeting creators. It's still a triple lens setup, but the results are apparently extraordinary in terms of detail. But the main improvement highlighted is low light performance.
Always a tricky one for phone cameras.
Always. But they're reporting significantly less noise and, crucially, more natural color tones in dim conditions, capturing scenes that, previously would have looked muddy or needed a much bigger camera sensor.
But it's not just the hardware, right?
Yeah.
There's that subtle intelligence layer doing work behind the scenes, like with portrait mode.
Exactly. The AI processing is key. For portraits, they talk about much better subject separation. It's not just a blunt cutout. The AI seems to understand depth and light better, creating that background blur, the bokeh.
Right, the creamy blur.
Yeah, that looks much more natural, more like you shot it with a proper camera lens, not just a software effect.
And importantly, it does this subtly, avoiding that over-processed artificial look.
That seems to be the goal. The AI refines the image, optimizes clarity, color, but without making it look fake or overdone. Natural, but polished.
Okay, and there's a new feature for the front camera too, something from the iPad.
Yes. Center stage. This is actually a pretty big deal for certain users. The front camera now automatically pans and zooms to keep you centered in the frame during video calls or recordings.
Ah, so if you move around a bit while you're on a call or filming yourself.
It follows you smoothly, which is fantastic for anyone doing live streams, video podcasts, vlogging, even just more dynamic video calls. Makes it look way more professional without needing someone else to operate the camera or staying perfectly still. A really smart addition for creators.
Definitely see the appeal there. Okay, let's tackle the storage. The review focused on the 1 TB model. For a lot of listeners, 1 terabyte on a phone sounds kind of insane. Who actually needs that much space?
Yeah, the review is very clear. This is undoubtedly overkill for casual users, no question. This capacity is built specifically for the professional creator, the power user.
Why? What are they doing that fills up so much space?
It really comes down to the file formats they use. Primarily ProRAW photos and high-resolution video like 4K.
Okay, remind us quickly, what's the deal with ProRAW?
Think of ProRAW like a digital negative from a traditional camera. It captures way more image data from the sensor without heavy compression. This gives pros massive flexibility when editing later. They can adjust exposure, colors, recover details and shadows and highlights, stuff you just can't do as well with the standard JPEG.
But the trade-off is file size.
Huge trade-off. A single ProRAW photo can be like 10 times bigger than a normal phone picture, easily. Now imagine shooting hundreds of those, plus hours of 4K video, maybe even ProRes video, which is another high-quality format.
Okay, yeah, I can see how storage disappears fast.
Exactly. A few minutes of 4K ProRes can eat up multiple gigabytes, so that 1 TB suddenly goes from overkill to, well, the review calls it liberating.
Yeah.
It means pros can shoot for longer, manage big projects right on the device, and not constantly worry about offloading footage or running out of space mid-shoot. It lets the phone be a primary tool.
Right, it removes a major workflow bottleneck for them.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The deep blue design, Elegant, light, but solid. The A19 Pro genuinely faster, but also delivering that breakthrough battery life. And this Profusion camera system, clearly aimed at pros, backed up by that massive 1 TB storage option. So pulling it all together, what's the bottom line for you, the listener? Does this iPhone 17 Pro live up to that gold standard claim?
Well, the analysis strongly suggests it does justify its undoubtedly premium price tag, but with a caveat, it really shines brightest if you're the kind of user it's specifically designed for. It's this blend of beautiful design, genuinely top-tier sustained performance, and that incredibly capable camera system for the power user, the creator, someone pushing the device with high-res photos, videos, demanding apps. Yeah, it seems to set a new benchmark.
So not just an incremental update, it feels like a significant step, especially in packing that pro-level capability into a phone.
That seems to be the consensus. It really is aiming to be the new gold standard, particularly for mobile creation. It does everything well, but those high-end features are where its deepest value lies.
Okay, so here's something to chew on, building on everything we've just discussed from the sources. If the line between pro photo and video gear and a smartphone is getting this blurry, weighty, dude, you've got Pro RAW, you've got amazing video, 1 TB storage right there in your pocket. How long before high-end creators start rethinking their whole workflow? Could everything become truly mobile? Are we getting close to a point where the only real advantage of a big dedicated camera is just the physical size of the sensor? And how fast might that gap close? Something to think about. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.